crack that open. But I need to see some of that team play, some of that togetherness really shine through on at least getting prio for these objectives for WE. But we will see BLG on that blue side. They will have already banned away the Neferi that we were talking about, as well as the Ferris. WE, though, they will be first picking, and they will have the Nocturne and Vi ban towards Sun.
Yep. Now, these bans so far have been the exact same. I've just got looking at the bans here. It was Ezreal from BLG and a Oh, okay. So this is a change up. This means that Rumble is going to be available. Maybe Ezreal could be available, or the Orianna. Now, this is scary because
Rumble.
not a ton that's super great into the Orianna. It's actually Ezreal that is the priority for WE. That's insane.
So Karma not going to be able to get paired with the Ezreal. I'm interested on what other support will be there for about, but this is what I was thinking. I mean, you ban the Gnar because it's a ranged top laner half the time, which means you want to pick a ranged top laner yourself so you can abuse that fact. Jayce going to be the lock-in along with the Bard on special coming through here in game number 2, so that roam ability, not only is it going to help in the top lane matchup that we have yet to see the other half of, as Cube doesn't get himself a pick just yet, but also it just means that On is on a comfort pick and Shun will have a Bard in his back pocket to look for those aggressive plays that we have talked about.
And that's been such a crucial piece for BLG and how they put together the map. I also got to say, Bin's Jayce in the playoff, at least the last time he played it, was disgusting. So we'll see if these meta picks that are coming through for WE are going to be enough, as the Orianna is picked up and the Ezreal being a big meta combo right now.
All right, you guys are on the BLG train for this draft. I'm going to say this WE draft is disgustingly good.
It is?
It's so much better already than last game. They have range to deal with the Jayce. Center Bard is not really the bot lane that I'm screaming about. Sivir's a bit better, but Ezreal has been banned almost every game. It gets let through here by BLG. Orianna is still, in my opinion, the best mid on the patch. I mean, maybe you go something like a Victor, a Hui into that, but then you got a Neeko alongside it. There's plenty of junglers that you can pair with this to have a threatening ball delivery service, have the Neeko threat available. Like, Pantheon's great here. The Xin Zhao is great here too. I'm a little bit worried about how the solo lane is going to go in the top side, but W have a great start.
Yeah, I like the Victor shout, Jbetto. I would personally think that that is probably really high on my priority list if I am Knight, but I also do think BLG could go a different route with the Annie still open and available. If you want to try and get that set up for Shun, if this really is going to be a game where we prioritize jungle and making sure Bard can roam up with him this entire time, because we're setting up for a very weak side bot lane combo right now. Sivir lock-in here tells me that On wants to be around the map toward this top side and playing for his solo laners and his jungle.
And that has been a crucial strength over these last couple series, is Knight and Ben have just been on a tear, something we talked about so much in last game as well. But I do really like some of these set pieces for WE. It's going towards what I was asking for in getting some of these combo plays, some safety there, but as well as being able to kind of fight for some prio ahead of objectives. But BLG, they're going to have counter picks. We got to see what they save for that one. It's going to be full jungle focus in their second phase bans, as they do ban away that Trundle and that Wukong. It's already the Akali towards Knight, so it's WE saying we don't want him to have mechanically intensive mid lanes.
Yeah, it's a good shout, Quax, about the Trundle. Even though there's not a super tank there, still think the Trundle can find a ton of value. I was actually thinking about Akali a little bit into the Orianna. We've been seeing it be pretty popular into a lot of the meta mids right now. But BLG, what are we picking here? Is it a mid laner for Knight, or is it a jungler for Shun? It's going to be the Xin Zhao. This feels to me more of a denial than anything. It's still a great pick that Shun can play well, but I think that at this point, you're more taking it away from WE, as that would be a really nice thing to have with your ball delivery. Maybe it's Pantheon.
I mean, there's plenty of range on the side of BLG as well. So, like, I think the Xin Zhao in the hands of Monki would get a lot of value at just being able to act as more of a frontliner. And we did talk about the tanks still being open. Ornn was one of those champions that we discussed. and that will be hovered here by Cube. K'Sante blind, or rather not blind, but against the Jayce does give you a little bit of ability to kite him out in the team fights, make it difficult for him to get onto the back line, but the laning phase has to be the big worry here. If you can get a solo kill onto this K'Sante in this matchup, if you can leverage that range, it'll be really difficult, I think, for Q to act as that frontliner, because he is not going to be, or Ben rather, is not going to be the most consistent damage source in the late game on BLG. That burden and that all falls onto Viper with this Sivir, who, I mean, I'm looking at the WE comp right now, and I like this Pantheon lock-in, because I was going to say WE don't really have anything to punish the Sivir for being alone in the lane. I think Pantheon with the global ultimate does provide some of that kill threat onto the Sivir if they're under the turret, and if On decides to just show his face in top lane, you have that responsiveness.
Yeah, and I love the amount of prio that Monki was getting. I'd love to see some of the smiles on their faces with the coaching staff figuring out what they were going to grab this time around, and he needed something he can go mano a mano against Sun in this game number 2, and it looks like it's going to be just that. But man, these comps are so intense on both sides of things. I mean, you have so much safety, it feels like, on the side of WE.
Yep, I'm a bigger fan of the WE draft. I love the Neeko. I think the Orianna works really well here. Into, you know, the short range from the Annie, the short range from the Sivir, if you're able to get the spell shield off. But my concern is still execution. The solo lanes were not a fun time for WE last game. And while I like the matchups, it's going to come down to execution. If you give Knight a big lead again, if you let him skirmish on Annie with this Xin Zhao, and you let this Jayce get a massively accelerated position, the comp doesn't really matter at that point.
And that being said, we're getting into game number 2 here. WE, they need a little bit more of that magic, the things that got them to this point. A precipice that these players have not known before, but it's against a team that the LPL knows it very well. In this new era of dominance for BLG since 2024, they look like themselves once again, and they look like revenge is a dish best served cold. We get into game number 2 now. BLG versus WE.
I hear them. The mic's turned down, but they're there. And I'm sure they're ridiculously loud on site.
There's a lot of people in the audience there. I was hoping we were going to get to hear them this time around. Unfortunately, they're just a little bit quiet. But hey, that being said, this series has not been quiet so far if you're a BLG fan. This team from WE facing a mountain. They've done it once before. We've seen them do that in the first round, and it was the start of a crazy run for them in that upper bracket. But now they have been a little bit checked into reality, and seeing some of the high highs that we had seen from them in the playoffs was a stark contrast to what we were getting from them in the regular season here, boys.
WE have certainly leveled up since the playoffs. I think that is an unrefutable
This is a flash
fact.
of the wall, yeah?
Yeah, and Monki flashed over to make sure he dodged out on the vision. That is just the most Monki thing to do ever, by the way. I have to say, very in character for him early on in this game. But I'm interested in what this is actually attempting to accomplish here, because Xin Zhao isn't a, farm till 6 champion, doesn't need a big break point with ultimate in order to get going. We can already see that Shun 3 camps to the bot side and is looking for something aggressively to try and influence this 2v2 in his team's favor.
Goodness gracious. Also, just a quick shout out the 6-0 Knight Annie, but here comes the flank angle from Sun. Goes for the early win, becomes lightning. About's going to flash out. 3 talent strike will not be there. Monki, he's gone and found Bin. Bin not expecting this one little bit. The flash from Cube. They know what's on set, and it's going to be Bin falling to Cube and Monki. The missed flash over the wall, and first blood for WE in game 2.
Yeah, that's pretty indefensible there from Bin. He might have even been out. Spear probably coming up from Monki, so likely a kill, but still, there was no flash on Cube, no flash on Monki. Maybe Ben gets out there, but this is kind of the weakness of Xin Zhao in the early ganks. He doesn't really have any CC. He can't lock you down. Ezreal and Neeko both just flash away, whereas Pantheon in these early lane ganks, he's unexpected in his position because Monki's really smart on his pathing. And yes, Bin is much further up than the bot lane of WE was, but the lockdown that Monki and Cuba have together allows like a 500 gold lead almost for Monki. That's massive.
Monki is jumping off out to an early lead here for sure, and a champion that I think the power curve of the Pantheon is like you're really strong early, and then you kind of take a divot around the 2 to 3 item mark, and then once you start getting to like 5 to 6 items, like real end game type stuff, that's really when he starts to come online again. So it's like one of those weird like U-shaped curves, like a parabola almost for the Pantheon power curve, but we're going to have to see what Monki can actually do with that. Because he committed that flash, it means that the kill threat onto the other lanes is lessened. And I feel like the setup for his lanes also really isn't there. There isn't a ton of CC. If you dodge out on the Tangle Barbs, that's really all WE have on the bot side to set up for this Pantheon. He desperately needs that with no summoner.
Yep. There is one weak point, though, and it's being in the top lane with no flash. Now, you don't necessarily have to get a kill on Ben, but giving Cube a lead and allowing him to actually breathe through this lane, we were worried about, you know, the solo laners for BLG, or sorry, the solo laners for WE in this second game, and if Ben gets off to a massive lead, if Knight can do the same, if you can put pressure on Ben, you don't have to kill him, just don't let him get a lead.
We see here on the redeploys as well, the objective coming up here, there was early presence around the dragon last game. I mean, BLG were looking at Soul super early into that game, but with the redeploys towards top side right now for both junglers, maybe those earlier neutral objectives do take a bit of a back seat here.
I think in an ideal world for WE, you want to wait until Erha has level 6. That is one of your go buttons, and then you can follow up with a shockwave on that. Honestly, if both Karis and Erha have level 6 and a dragon hasn't been taken by BLG at that point, that's a failure on their part for the macro. I think you have to understand as BLG that once those ults are unlocked for WE, especially on this bot side, they can really turn up the heat. So it is on you. The onus really is to try and apply as much pressure as humanly possible with this Xin Zhao and this Bard around the map to take these objectives before those ults come up.
Actually gonna
Tibbers
see
out of mid.
Tibbers. Yeah, Trey. Just throw a bear at people, see what happens.
I don't like that. I don't like... I mean, in Australia, we've got this joke. Actually, I don't actually know if it is a joke, but this whole drop bear thing, never seen them. Never.
Yeah.
A bear has never dropped on me. But it's
like the camel spiders.
This joke in quotation marks has been said so many times that I actually don't know if it is a joke or not. But I like telling it to people, especially when you meet like foreigners in, you know, let's say a bar or another country. So you got to watch out for all these animals, and the worst one is the drop bear. I mean, maybe that's just Annie. Maybe she's actually Australian. I don't know.
Okay, well, hey, that's a little lore checking.
I did have a relative who was hang on
Early flash there to make sure he can get away from an errant mystic shot. Here comes the Grand Starfall.
Boy.
It's going to be a tempo play from WE. They want to try to get him, but Monki isn't able to catch him in between. But the Comet Spear, it's not enough. On is barely alive. Shun is still farming his, and now it's just going to be a slow and steady sink for the bot lane. Both go down, and everyone survives for WE.
Feels like you camera pans to Shun. The observer's like, Shun, get down here, help your bot lane. And he's like, nah, those guys are dead.
I got chickens.
Yeah, I got Raptors to clear, man. This Monki guy has a global ult, okay, or a semi-global at least. I need to do something to alleviate that. But yeah, really great play early game from WE, and it's off the shoulders of Monki. In game one, a bit of quietness, but so far in this second game, it feels like Monki has been incredibly creative with his pathing, flashing over the wall, and then now making this aggressive play in bot.
Ingenuity really is, I think, Monki's greatest trait as a player. It is what allowed them to beat out BLG the first time around in the playoffs. It is what has allowed them to make it this far in the playoffs, because this guy sees angles that some would consider to be extreme, like flashing over the Baron pit, level 2. but it's worked out so far. Monki's tempo has been significantly above that of Xun's, and again, this is a matchup where Xun is going to have to be the guy trying to make early proactive plays happen, because once the global ultimate is unlocked, we see what Monki is capable of doing. He's getting onto the side lanes, he's punishing low health bars, and he's making it so that BLG can't push past a certain point on the map.
And this feels good for Monki's individual gold lead, but remember, we're taking a look back at the solo laners. Knight has to play super passive because, yes, he's an Annie with flash, but he still doesn't have a ton of survivability if the Pantheon ult lands on his head, so he doesn't have a CS lead. And Bin in this matchup that you should be generating gold doesn't, because he's constantly under his tower with no flash. Now that's back up, but Monki's got a 900 gold lead, and the solo lanes for BLG are not accelerated.
And that's the stark contrast between last game and this game, as the solo lanes are so far behind. But here comes the cavalry for BLG. They bring on over. The grubs had already been started, and looks like they will be finished. BLG playing very hesitantly around this play, and the team play from WE is shining through.
Cube gonna sacrifice around a wave under his turret in order to give Monki that safety onto the grubs, but WE will manage to pick that one up. This feels like as much of a, hey, we got the grubs, as it does a denial. Because of the sheer range on the side of BLG, I'm looking at Bin, I'm looking at Viper later on. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for you to secure those plates for these late game threats on the side of Bilibili Gaming. And everyone is pinging toward this bot side river. Erha is yet to have level 6, and we talked about WE really wanting to wait to apply some crazy pressure on this bot side river until Neeko had access to that ultimate, and you could pair Karis' Shockwave with that Pot Blossom.
This is a powerful combo that we've seen time and time again. It looks like there is just so much control from WE around that Dragon Pit. If you look at the vision control that they've been able to establish around there, you can see exactly what their plan is. And I love it. It's about sticking to this early game play, the thing that got them the win over BLG in the first place, and just kind of keeping the tempo in Monki's favor. Dragon started up now.
Yep. And in the bot lane as well, has generated a lead off of the dive and then the pressure. This is something that Pantheon does. It makes everyone have to play scared on the map. Something we've seen drop off a little bit globally in the LPL, but the Pantheon finding a lot of value here throughout this early game for Monki. Now, we're getting a little bit of gold bleeding back over towards the solo lanes. You know, 150, not that much. 200 on a Jayce into a tank. Again, not that much. But BLG are just biding their time. They know that their fight is coming. Sivir is scaling. Honor's got level 6 now, and that's really where the Bard becomes unlocked to roam around the side lanes. Now, is this going to work?
Erha's gonna do it to him. Yeah, he has the ability to turn into a minion. All right, this is a test, Bin. Do you know how to count?
Can you do math?
Pantheon ult too. Look where he's positioned.
Yep. This is the kind of play that they want to go for.
This.
All right,
gosh,
he's
please
gonna
tell
set
me
the
this
tempo.
works.
He is #1 in line. Let's all sit and watch. Ben,
007
will he
Erha.
take the bait? Can he count? Can he count? It looks like he might be able to.
He
There's
can!
a lot of minions now, so I think he knows. He'll be fine for now, but it's going to be a retrieval of the pressure up here by BLG as they move Xun and on up this way. Still, though, the threat of the Grand Starfall always being there for Monki to join his teammates is exactly what WE want to play with. BLG are circling the top side, trying to get some solo lane advantages somewhere.
I love how cautiously WE and how respectfully they are playing around this top side. They are not treading anywhere they don't have vision. The Bard makes it so easy for, with the Magical Journey, to just pop into a corridor and immediately punish you for overextending. So that is something they have to be aware of. But WE have an angle here.
On flashing out of the Shockwave combo, knowing that what was going to follow, and that's the use of the tool that we were just talking about for WE. The question is, though, in these kinds of moments, first item spikes coming up, does that change the evolution of these fights? Is Knight trying to change the mid lane matchup himself? But do we feel like that's going to be a big uptick in this pressure?
I don't necessarily know if it is. I do have to say, though, regarding that earlier attempted pick by Team WE, Grand Starfall felt a little excessive. The Shockwave got flashed onto, and before he even finished channeling the ultimate, was basically out of that play. So that's 2 ultimates denied. I don't think BLG are going to have a window to punish that because those ultimates should be up by the time this next dragon spawns, but still kind of feels like WE have a bit of a trigger finger right now to just try and make something happen around the map.
Yeah, I do think WE are sending it a bit aggressively, but let's take a look at the result of what that's actually doing to the game. About has a 1k lead. He's farming. The rest of BLG are forced to respond to the chaos that WE are bringing to the map. Okay, Neeko goes top. Pantheon, oh, okay, we have to drop waves. We have to cover bin. Now, Viper goes up top. This is brilliant, like, lane topping from WE. They send their bot lane top, then Viper answers, and now we've got these mismatched lanes just constantly. Bin is never getting a lead. Knight is never getting a lead, and Viper is getting further and further behind.
It feels like a reestablishing of the powers that WE used against BLG all that time ago, and it's just about these macro movements, trying to keep them off kilter. And it's going to be Monki looking for an invade play with Karis at his back. Both about an Erha redeploying over this way. Blue buff. He's going to be stolen away by Monki. It's going to be the engage, though. Shun is going for the Crescent Guard fight here as he's blocking away so much of the damage.
Oh.
Walks out of the shockwave. I don't think Karis has hit a single one, and now Knight has shown up. Big Pop Blossom on the 2. Timber Fate denying so much damage as the re-engage comes through from BLG. The healing is insane. It's going to be the all-out from Q, but he might just go down. Bin's not falling. About trying to get the kills, trying to get the hammer, trying to go down, but it's him falling. He finds 1 kill, and Karis barely makes it out, but BLG show their big fighting strength.
And there's a reason why the Bard is so synonymous with this guy. A beautiful tempered fate. WE's pick onto the backline of BLG. Their snap engage gets halted in its tracks. As we go on to the replay, Shun buying space for his team, trying to split up Karis. The shockwave goes wide yet again. And then look at this. It is a beautiful angle here for Erha, but look at how On responds. Double knockup, and no follow-up is possible. They get all of their cooldowns back up, and by the time people go back from being golden, BLG are recentered, ready to fight, and they tear WE asunder.
Yep. The shockwave was a bit ugly, but the Pop Blossom was really well placed. It's not that Erha played it badly, it's that On played it exceptionally. Look at the gold swing. Monki, 500. Bin is now up 1k. You spend the first 15 minutes of this game holding him down, and you make one big mistake, and BLG's gold explodes.
But isn't that just the story of BLG? You can't make mistakes like that because they will go for the jugular. And I think when you see that veterancy in this team, it's one of those things where you're never quite sure how confident you can be with the WE leads. As we do see them take the second dragon, they are still going to take prio in the neutral objectives so far this game. Full 100% control there, but there's a Rift Herald spawned on the other side of the map.
Dragon stacking, a win condition that WE are going to clutch onto tightly in this game, because it feels like once Bin enters into these fights, he's not able to do so. No teleport there on the Jayce, so won't get involved for that fight, but we'll probably be getting involved for the future dragon fights, gentlemen, because that means next Drake for WE, if they can secure that, that'll be soul point. That's probably not a position BLG want to find themselves in. And by the time that happens, Bin will be 2 items. You can see Brutalizer is in his inventory, so he is going to be going for the newest Cyclo Sword, going to be proccing on those Shock Blasts, and that's going to do a whole lot of damage onto this backline.
Yeah, ouch. My one concern for BLG is that they don't have a ton of genuine solid lockdown that isn't named Knight.
Right.
You've got the Cosmic Binding, the Tempered Fate. Those are all skill shots you have to land. For Knight, it's about how can you land your stun onto the most people possible. Herald is up, and WE have the position around the river. BLG sniffing, having a little look-see to see if WE are going for the Herald, which they are currently not, but BLG moving in.
Does look like they want to try to contest for this one. We have hit second item for Viper. He's going to be feeling pretty good, and he's ahead of the item spike there just about from about. And Rift Herald already getting a little bit lower. True Shot Barrage used. Bin coming over. Then having used that TP does have the shield. It looks like BLG are going to respect the power that WE are threatening with and give over yet another neutral objective. So this is just BLG saying, we need time, we need items, we need to delay some of these big fights.
Knight had the teleport available, but I mean, you look around and the vision really isn't great for BLG on the river itself. So if Knight wanted to get like a flank teleport, if he wanted to get some creative cheeky angle onto Team WE, there really was no angle for him to do so. And I do think that, like Jbetto said, this is your only form of lockdown, but you're also immobile. So if you put yourself in a precarious situation, you might be able to blow one guy up, but you yourself will get blown up at the same time.
Whoa.
And that has to be very concerning. Or
there's a rocket belt. There's a rocket belt. There's a Chovy belt. He's not immobile fully.
You're right. He's got a jetpack.
True. He does a lot of damage to Cube too, by the way. Xin was hovering. Erha is going to be right here with him, and you have the Grand Starfall at the ready from Monki. Ready to say 0-7 to this bot lane as they're trying to get the push in, trying to find some more gold, trying to take back potentially this lead that BLG had wrestled away from them. A little bit of prio in the mid lane for about, and an invade coming through from the WE team, trying to see if they can sneak out any kind of picks here. But it looks like it's not going to be the case. And that's something I got to talk about for BLG is there was a huge amount of disrespect
hang on.
for BLG as Bin's going to try to fight his way out of this one. Shockwave is there. They're going to try to wait it out here for the damage. Try to get it through. Flash not far enough, and that's a couple bad flashes from Bin so far this game.
Yeah.
And that also means a big pick in the side lane for WE.
I'm starting to notice a theme here with Bin's flashes in game number 2, and I don't know if I like that theme.
Monki and becomes lightning. Xin's going to connect. 3 talent strike and get flashed. There's the crescent guard to block the damage from Karis.
Wow.
It's going to be Monki barely making it out alive. TP coming back in. That's going to be Knight. Rift Herald play for Monki. Can he get a smooth play on a BLG? It's going to be the True Shot Barrage. Does do a decent amount of damage. Hits on a 3, so not too bad from about. He did have to burn his flash in that exchange. And Cube able to get the turret in the bot side. That's first turret for WE. They take back the lead.
Yeah, I love the flash punish on Monki, okay. Bin's dead. What can we get off of Monki? Go for a fish. It's just the flash, but committing the TP, that dive is never happening, even without the Herald. And then, like you said, you lose that tower in the bot lane. Bin still sits on a pretty comfortable gold lead, and this game is going to be more about dragons than anything now. WE sitting on 2, it's Infernal Soul. The game is always warped around that. But we've kind of gone back to parity now. Bin has a little bit of a lead, 800. That's not nothing, but considering the matchup, it should be more. And the rest of the game is pretty even.
Looks like there's about to be a pick here on 2, just completely caught out, not expecting there to be 4 members standing strong there for WE, but a little bit of setup for WE around this Infernal Dragon that has spawned. It'll be started up, and that would be sole point for them.
I genuinely wonder what On was expecting to happen there. Like you said, it's Infernal Drake. This is sole point for WE. Of course they're on the bot side river, right? And you don't have vision of that area. It just felt like a disrespectful move from the BLG support. Now Karis going to take a chunk out of Xun. Cube is in the area. They want to take the fight to BLG.
They got the turret, but Xun, he burned the Crescent Guard early. He's just going to give his life away, try to clear some of the minions, I guess. A weird setup of plays from BLG, and WE will take that every single time. Big pick, big pick. Oh, Arcane Shift out. He even stutter steps there to make sure they know.
Yep. This is kind of the inverse of last game, where this time it's WE setting the pace. I love how Karis plays on that weak side. Not only does he live, but he plays into it, chunks down Xun, and then Cube paths up as well to give a kill over to Karis, and he ends up getting the kill goal to Knight.
Knight trying to go for the solo bolo. Karis trying to fight his way through with Monki here. Blast Cone's going to get Monki over the wall, and the CC chain is there. Knight tries to flash play, but Karis is too quick with it. He does make it out alive, and another side lane pick for WE.
I mean, an apt reaction from Xun there. These solo laner flashes from BLG in game number 2, boys, they're giving me a tummy ache. Like, I can't anymore. This is truly tragic what is going on here in game number 2 for BLG after what was such a dominant game 1 victory for them. Now struggling here in game number 2. It feels like WE have allowed the madness to seep in. The craziness is coming through, and a lot of that you gotta give credit over to Monki and over to Karis for making the aggressive plays happen, for looking onto the picks, and now Dragon win condition is still alive. Everything both teams do from here on out gonna be centered around getting priority and vision around this bot side river.
Yep, and we haven't even really seen how BLG plan to take their fights. They won 1, and that was over a WE overextension. Viper's on 2 items. It's going to be a while before he's really relevant in this game and turns into the late game threat Sivir can be. Meanwhile, About has finished those core 2 items. He has the Gluts finished too, which is a really nice team fighting spike. They also have so much CC, so much cash. The Shockwave is nice. I think BLG are kind of running out of options as to how they approach this fight. They're losing side lanes and they're losing all these Drakes too, setting up some good vision, but we're still 2.5 minutes away from this Dragon, so this vision is kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's early setup there for BLG. Just make sure they can get something going, but they're gonna have to re-answer some of these lanes. And I gotta say, for WE, hopefully we can bring it up here, but it's such an incredible position to be in for them. We didn't get to set the stage necessarily without the pre-show for this team, but this is and could be an incredible monument in all of these guys' careers. It's a team of people that maybe you don't know as much, that haven't really reached a stage like this before, and you could see it on their faces when they're walking through the crowds, the emotion, the love, the motivation that's coming through for these kinds of moments. And you hope that a little bit of that magic is still present, and we are seeing it here in game number 2. Big Shockwave, Crescent Guard there. Can't block the damage from a melee as he does dodge out of the spear there. Monkey's still going for more. He's going to go through with the Flash Comet, and that's going to be a nice re-engage onto On. They find 2 more picks, and they are engaged here. It's going to be a nice arcane shift out of the Tibbers there as About and the rest of WE circling BLG like sharks. There's the Grand Starfall. Erha going to miss the Pod Blossom. TP coming back in. That's going to be Bin, but the turret's not going to be there. Bin, you got to run away. The acceleration gate ain't going to save you, but maybe the Flash does.
We can lose Baron here.
Oh, they definitely can. Shun is 10 seconds away from respawning. I think now the smart play is WE, they get the mid turret. Look at the vision on the bot side river. No team really has firm control over that area, so WE need to be the first guys to get back onto the map. So taking that reset ASAP to set up is going to be really important. But we get back to a replay here. Shun just too far up. Good Crescent Guard, but eventually the timer runs out on that. Instead of taking the portal like a normal person, Monki flashes over the wall. That's the kind of guy he is. That's just Monki things.
And we're going to see Shun go in. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about before we got into this fight is all of the flashes for WE are down. They have no resources left. They just used them all, and one of them falls right there. Monkey now going to be the target on the other side. Bin doing a chunk of damage, but BLG have done enough to stop the Dragon stacking.
BLG have no flashes either, though, so if WE want, they can recontest, but it looks like it might just be a give for now. I love in that previous play how WE are fishing for the Crescent Guard, and then when Shun doesn't press it, he gets chunked too low, then they commit in. WE, I'm going to need to take a look back at that fight, because while yes, About did Arcane Shift over the Raptors wall, get Tibbers and flash out of it barely, which he lost flash there. I still think they're in a great position, and About gets caught, I guess, too far forward, and in a position where WE just win a fight. We're talking about setting up vision, maybe going Baron, setting up vision for Soul. Now, that position has been all but lost.
And we're starting to coast around the 27-minute mark. This is when the death timers can be long enough to where you get a pick, it can be right onto the Baron. So BLG, it feels like their map pressure this game has been a bit of a double-edged sword. We saw the benefit of it in game number 1 where they're able to play super far up and be to the play before it really even happens. But here in game number 2, it has resulted in a lot of picks for Team WE as Knight flashes forward, attempting to look for something to start the fight.
It's going to connect. TP coming back in, though. On is the primary focus for WE right now. They've got Cube with a huge shield coming in. He's waiting to all out. Shun is just going to be taken out here. He is left to the wolves than RWE, and there's that timer you're talking about, straight into the Baron.
Yep. And BLG still around, but with no jungler. What can you possibly do that Health bars of WE are low, and Viper does a lot of damage at this point.
Knight doesn't have flash anymore, but the Baron is going to go down. Knight decides it's time to go, but the Shockwave hits, and the combo connects. About hits the True Shot Barrage, and here comes the Grand Starfall. WE have caught BLG sleeping, and that disrespect that was the bane of BLG in that first series in round number 1 comes back again. WE show some life.
That might have been the straw that broke the camel's back here in game number 2. And you guys were looking at me saying that the 3-0 for BLG is looking awfully crucial right now. It's looking like it'll come true. But I got something to say to you guys. WE came here to play. This rematch will not be one-sided. They're making sure of it. 6,000 gold. They are in the lead. Baron acquired on all 5 members. And going into this replay, Jbetto, what do you think happened here, really? Knight with just the fail, but then, like, the re-engage was also so scuffed.
Yeah, not only this, but the Tempered Fate doesn't get any value, so that's your engage. Done. You have no more agency in when you get to choose the fights and how you get to choose the fight. Shun goes forward to buy space with the Crescent Guard, but no one else can join. There's nothing to catch this Ezreal. There's nothing to catch this Orianna. And Erha here with a really great catch. BLG have no CC, WE have all the CC.
Yeah. And this is just the importance of Annie, right? You're the only point and click lockdown. You're the only guy that can get the stuns on these players.
Oh, Loleventvods alive. Monki might be caught. He has GA, so he can get out of it if he can, but that's a flank coming through from Knight with a TP. And that's going to be a double kill for Ben. All of a sudden, that lead doesn't look that strong anymore. A triple kill for Giga Ben as his Jayce has come to play.
They're going to chase them out the whole way. You're not allowed to base here. Erha's going to die too. He pop bottoms nothing.
Oh, no. The shakes, the shivers, and Erha going down. That's going to be Hammer coming through. And all of a sudden, that massive lead is thrown away by WE.
WE still have a bit of a gold lead over BLG. Going into what I imagine the next fight will be around this dragon in about a minute 20. But we missed the initial start to this fight, so I want to see what happened here. So
Cube is just
goes in.
off on his own.
He's just like, guys, we fight here. This is my red buff. And his team was like, okay. I guess.
I don't think I've ever seen a top laner make a declaration for a buff before. That's a new one.
Just a great TP from Knight 2 right into the back line. He finds his angle. And then the Tempered Fate was good too, buys time, and Erha can't get away. Only Karis lives with the Baron buff, so that'll provide with a little bit of priority for the next 5 seconds. The problem is that there's a dragon up in 30. BLG are a long time away from their soul. It's very likely that Sivir just pentakills everybody before we get to a genuine BLG soul. But every minute that passes, the Sivir is getting stronger, and you do need to deny this soul from WE.
It's not going to get any easier here. WE have to win this fight. If they can get the soul and they can shut down the scaling on the side of BLG, they can get us to 1 apiece here in this best of 5. But if they lose here and they don't get the dragon, we are going to be in it for the long haul, gentlemen.
Look at Knight on the flank. He goes for the play.
Oh, Erha!
It's on to Erha. He's so low. Tempered Fate's going to connect. He got hit. Shun's going to go for the win, becomes lighting, can't connect it. Tipper's trying to get the kill, but he can't do it. And now WE have lost pole position over the Dragon, and they might just lose a little bit more. Dragon started up by BLG. Can Monki get the 50-50? He had the better of Shun the first time around in that round number 1. That seems so long ago. This is Soul for WE. It's going to be a 50-50. We are looking to live or die off of. Shockwave comes through. Monki going in on a bin, but the Dragon goes over to BLG. Now the re-engage from Cube trying to get the back line. Knight's going to try to flash away, try to get something. He doesn't have flash. It's Cube that finds him. It's going to be the about combo that comes through as On gets a double CC, but they can't do much. Meanwhile, Monki just killed Shun, and WE take the fight and TP mid.
Yep, they just can't start a fight when this Tibbers is down, when Knight has no flash, when the Tempered Fate is down. BLG find one great fight, but WE, they hold fast, and in a bit of an anticlimactic fashion, they get the... Sorry, they lose the Dragon, but they get the game.
Let's see if they can finish it off. The death timer's still about 15 seconds out, and About is online here. He's got the improved attack speed, and they are barreling down the base. WE might have thrown for just a moment, but they swipe it right back and even up the series 1-1.
Who said it was going to be a sweep? Come forward now, both of you, above me.